Well, it is the bottom of the hour here, 9:30 in Indiana. We are looking at a snow event moving in, but most of you aren't seeing snow just yet if you're in the metro. The airport officially is reporting light snow, but as you can see from our live tower camera here, snow is not falling yet downtown, although a few flurries may still be possible. When we do look at some of the other locations, Bloomington reporting some snow and temperatures right now into the 20s. How does it look on the radar? Because that is going to tell the story. Well, a wide swath of snow that's moving through, but a couple of things that you can notice in this wider view. First of all, the system is a little farther to the south and west than expected, and that means that we've had to make some adjustments to the forecast. The other issue is there's a little bit of dry air that's been in place, and it has been difficult for some of this to reach the ground. You can tell because it looks like there's almost a bite taken out of the radar here as it gets a little closer, and that's because the drier air is eating into some of the snowfall, but we do expect it to overcome that, and we do expect snow to be impactful during the overnight and through the early morning hours. But as I said, we have made some adjustments. Let's take you to a couple of traffic cameras here. This is Interstate 70. This is looking at the Cloverdale area. You do see some wet roadways, also with some snow-covered bridges and overpasses. We are expecting some difficult travel during the overnight and into the morning commute. We do expect this to continue through the morning commute, so we anticipate there's going to be some issues. This camera, I feel, also really tells the story. This is at one of the rest stops here closer to, say, Terre Haute. And I know it's not looking directly at the road that travelers may be on, but it also shows you that there are starting to see some areas, there are some areas where we're starting to see that accumulation build up, and any areas that aren't treated do have snow cover, and that's going to be the big concern. We're tracking a series of systems that are going to move through. Let me start with where temperatures are. Again, if you're just joining us, thank you for tuning in here to WTHR Plus. I'm meteorologist Robb Ellis. Want to walk you through the snow that we're expecting tonight, another round of snow that we're expecting on Saturday, and then some bitterly cold temperatures into Sunday and Monday. We are in a winter weather stretch here that's at least going to last into early next week, and there's a lot to that. So let me give you a little bit of an update of what to expect. Temperatures into the 20s as the snow moves in. That snow, when it eats up some of that drier air, it cools the temperatures down just a bit. So we expect those temperatures to probably be a little bit colder than potentially what FutureTrack is calling for. FutureTrack did not handle that drier air with the previous model run. I do feel like this new model run that just came in has started to ingest a little bit of that data. And that happens with computer models. We get more data that comes in, new data that updates the models, and then we get a new result out of the model. That's exactly what we're seeing here. Through midnight, expecting snow to begin creeping to the north. I got to tell you, if you're Muncie to Richmond to Kokomo, there may be areas around there that get very little snow from this because we're really having difficulty seeing this transport that far to the north. Also, some of the drier air may eat into that. So we have really made some adjustments to the forecast here, and I'll show you the map in just a moment. By morning, by 6 a.m., we're still looking at some snow showers. This should be impactful for the morning commute. Watch for that. Allow yourself a little bit of extra time. But by that point, we're also seeing this begin to shut down and exit the state. I think by mid-morning, most of the snow is going to wrap up. Temperatures still holding here in the upper 20s to 30s. I'm going to call that relatively mild because when you look at the next snow system, it's going to be a good bit different, a good bit colder. The reason I'm bringing that up is because when the temperatures are in the upper 20s and 30s, any salt treatment that is put on the roadways is much more effective when you're at those temperatures. When I show you the next snow system in just a moment, that will be a very different scenario. Temperatures may actually warm up by Friday midday into the mid-30s, so that's a little bit of good news. I think Friday afternoon and into Friday evening is the best part of your forecast for the next 4 days or so. Here's the new map that I've just updated as of maybe a couple hours ago, an hour and a half ago or so. I did move all of this farther down to the south. However, I do still think there are going to be some isolated areas that get 3, 4, 5 inches of snow, and maybe a few isolated spots that get a bit more than that. But I certainly pushed this guaranteed 2 to 4 a little farther to the south, say from Terre Haute down to Bloomington, Seymour, Bedford. We've seen the snow arrive a little bit earlier there than some of the other locations, and there wasn't as much dry air to overcome. Now, for Indy, the south side, you may have some areas that get 2 to 3 inches of snow here, but I really think 1 to 2 is going to be a safe bet for most of the Indy metro. And on the north side, that starts to go down pretty quickly. So Fishers, Noblesville, you could be looking at 1 to maybe 2, but probably on the lower side of 1 and maybe an inch or less on the far northern parts of the metro. So we really had to make some adjustments here. That dry air in the mid-levels, we've had a couple of events this season that has been the Achilles heel in some of the models. They're just not picking up that dry air in the mid-levels. And that can be a big problem when it comes to our forecast. Here's the first snow. That's the one we're talking about for tonight. If you have something you need to get done where you have to go run errands or you can adjust plans, this is the best time frame. Once we get through about midday Friday into Friday evening, before we get to about maybe Saturday morning, I think you're looking pretty good. Once we get into Saturday morning, you will have a small window through about midday before the snow starts again, and Saturday morning should be pretty good as well. This is your best time frame to get some things done, because once we get into Saturday morning, late Saturday morning through about midday, this is when we're expecting the next amount of snow to arrive. This one also expected to bring 2 to 4, maybe some isolated 5 or 6 inch spots. That should last through about midnight, maybe just a little bit after. Then the bottom falls out. Then the temperatures drop in a big way. Sunday into Monday. Sunday is going to be a bitterly cold day from start to finish. Monday is going to be bitterly cold, maybe our coldest part of the forecast in the very early morning, and then it should warm up pretty quickly after that. Let me show you what we're expecting. There's the first system that moves on by. Here it is, 1 to 2 for Indy, 2 to 4 to the south. I think we're going to see a heavier, wetter snow with this. Once we get into early morning on Friday, that morning commute could be really messy in the morning, but then the snow should wrap up and the rest of Friday afternoon looks pretty good. We're not expecting significant precipitation, maybe a flurry or a couple of isolated slick spots here and there, but no significant precipitation for Friday afternoon and evening all the way through early parts of Saturday. But by midday Saturday, the next snowy system is on the way. A little bit earlier, I told you that temperatures for the first snow event will be around 30 degrees or so. That's good news. Salt treatment works at that point. When the temperatures start to drop and you get these numbers into the mid-teens, or they're dropping very quickly after snow comes through, treatment with salt becomes very ineffective, especially when your temperatures get down below about 10 degrees or so. Watch the temperatures here late Saturday and into early Sunday morning. These are actual air temperatures put out by Future Track. I don't know that we're going to quite be able to get that cold, but it's certainly possible depending upon how much snow cover we have. But when the temperatures drop that low, salt is going to be very ineffective. So we can hope that those roads can get plowed, the treatment can get down and help to melt some of the snow before we get those significantly colder temperatures, or the treatment's going to have almost no impact. Wind chills are going to be 20 below to around 0, depending upon the timing. And I'll show you a future track here with some wind chills, but this is certainly going to be probably the coldest wind chills part of the forecast, but may not necessarily be the coldest morning. The winds are just going to be a little bit stronger here for Sunday morning. And the highs on Sunday are going to struggle to reach the teens. Our forecast, I did bump up a little bit here for Sunday. Not much, some good news. And I'll show you the official forecast. This is a Future Track output. But the reason for that is if we have less snow on the ground because we're not getting as much here overnight tonight, we do need to downstream adjust the forecast because of that. It has cascading impacts down the line here. Heading into Monday, we start out with bitterly cold temperatures. Yet again, likely below 0. It will be a colder morning, but it's not going to be as windy. So the wind chills, we'll call it maybe as low as, say, 5 degrees to maybe 10 to perhaps even as much as 15 degrees below 0. Still adjusting some of the timing here, again, depending on how the cascading impacts of the snow begin to set up. Should warm up pretty quickly, though. Watch this. Even though we start out near 0, we should be able to get into the 20s by the afternoon. That will be warm by comparison. That second round that comes through, by the way, 2 to 4 is what we're expecting with isolated 5 inches plus. Again, this is going to be Saturday afternoon and evening. Should wrap up late Saturday night. High temperatures, here they are. This is our official forecast. Near freezing for your Friday. Probably the warmest part of at least the next 4 days or so. Cold for Saturday. If you can get things done on Saturday early, that's better. Before noon is good. Afternoon, chance of snow rolls in and the traffic or the travel really is going to become problematic. because it's going to be ineffective to treat the roadways once the temperatures drop below about 15 or 10 degrees or so. High temperature on Sunday, I nudged it up. I still only gave you 10 degrees, but I did nudge it up a bit from the 7 that we had earlier because I don't think we're going to see as much snowfall. But just know that as each meteorologist comes in and tweaks the forecast, they may move this up or down quite a bit because we are seeing some trends in the forecast models. We do that to try to keep it as accurate as possible with the new data that's coming in. Back to 20 for Monday, and look at this. By Tuesday, we're up into the 30s and 40s and certainly a warm-up by the end of the week. That's just the highs. Look at the overnight lows, and these too have been adjusted. Sunday morning, 2 below is what we're expecting. For Monday, 3 below is what we're expecting. Monday's probably your coldest morning, but your wind chills on Sunday morning are going to be probably the coldest because the winds are going to be a little bit stronger there. Monday morning, 3 below. Most locations will at least reach down to around 0, maybe a few degrees colder than that. Here's the wind chill. It will be cold on Saturday, but not as cold as Saturday night. Once we get to about 8 o'clock in the evening on Saturday, I think the wind chills will drop down to around 0, and then the bottom will fall out, and we'll see the wind chills go down anywhere to say 15 to maybe as low as 25 below. I do think that the wind chills are being overdone just a little bit here according to Future Track. National Weather Service is also thinking maybe closer to say 20 below. But I wouldn't rule it out, especially if the winds pick up and those temperatures are really able to drop. Doesn't improve much on Sunday. It's going to be a cold day on Sunday with wind chills likely below 0 into Monday morning, and then they should improve as the temperatures begin to rise. That's a lot of information. Essentially, the best way to remember it is it's going to be snow, snow, cold, cold. 4 alert days we have on the 7-day forecast for you because of snow, especially early Friday morning, snow Saturday afternoon and evening. Very cold for Sunday from start to finish, starting at -2, ending at 10 Sunday afternoon. We could get close to the record low of 4 below. I did nudge the temperatures up a bit, so may not be in jeopardy. But also a cold morning on Monday. 3 below is what we're expecting. And that 35 on Tuesday. Any other day would be a cold day, but by comparison, it is a warm-up. We will have a complete forecast at 11 o'clock on WTHR. Keep it tuned right here for that, or join us at 11. In the meantime, stay warm and be safe.